He was trained to make peace with enemies. She was born to destroy them. When Captain Elias Rourke is sent to intercept an alien commander en route to wipe out Earth, he expects a negotiation. What he finds is Thal'ea, a brilliant, ruthless leader of a galactic empire who believes humanity is too dangerous to live. His orders are simple: convince her Earth is worth sparing, by any means necessary. But as the clock ticks down to annihilation, what begins as a battle of ideology becomes something far more complicated. Two minds colliding in the void, two hearts questioning everything they've been taught. Can one man change the fate of a planet? Or will her judgment fall like a star across the sky? Hello family, welcome to Storytime with Imzi. Please subscribe and like, it means the world to us. Also share this video to your friends and loved ones, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you as you do so. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. The stars wheeled by like frozen sparks, distant and indifferent, as Captain Elias Rourke leaned against the cool bulkhead of the debriefing chamber aboard the Solstice. The hum of the ship's core reverberated faintly through the walls, a constant heartbeat in the silence before the storm. He rubbed the back of his neck, jaw clenched. Whatever this was, it wasn't a standard mission. He could feel it in the silence between Admiral Tan's words. Her ship is called the Varellan's Vow, the Admiral said, voice steady, eyes grim. She crossed the Kuiper threshold 2 days ago. Didn't cloak. Didn't hide. Just showed up. Rourke frowned. A warning. Tan nodded. Or a declaration. The room's lights dimmed slightly as a holographic image shimmered to life above the center table. A sleek, obsidian vessel hung in the air, elegant and menacing. Nothing like human engineering. Its edges glowed faintly, like embers in a dying fire. A second image followed, the alien herself. Commander Thal'ea of the Varelli Dominion. She had eyes like polished silver, skin the color of dusk, and sharp features that made her look carved, not born. Her gaze pierced even through the projection. She radiated authority and contempt. She sent a transmission, Tan continued. Said Earth is a destabilizing species. That we've burned our planet, polluted space, and spread war like spores. She claims she's here to decide if Earth should be corrected. Corrected? Rourke repeated, voice low. She means exterminated. Quietly. Efficiently. A heavy silence settled over the room, interrupted only by the soft hum of the ship and the distant echo of crew activity beyond the sealed doors. Rourke stared at the image of Thal'ea, his mind already moving, parsing through political nuances and psychological tells. And you want me to talk her out of it, he said finally. We want you to convince her Earth is worth sparing, the Admiral said. Diplomatically. Persuasively. Persuasions that don't involve our guns, because frankly, Elias, theirs are bigger. Rourke snorted. That's never stopped us before. Tan gave a dry smile. You've got the record for high-risk first contacts. You understand how to speak across alien mindsets. And most importantly, he leaned forward, eyes hard. You're charming as hell when you need to be. He exhaled slowly, gazing once more at the image of the Varelli commander. There was a storm in her eyes. Not anger. Purpose. Conviction. She truly believed she was doing the right thing. A challenge. I'll take the mission, Rourke said. Tan nodded. You'll rendezvous on neutral ground, Station Helios 4. No weapons, no backup. Win her over, Captain. Make her see us as more than our worst mistakes. Rourke straightened, pulling his coat tighter over his shoulders. Any way I can? The Admiral didn't smile. Any way you must. As the door hissed open and he stepped into the corridor, stars still wheeling silently outside the viewport, Elias Rourke felt the weight of Earth on his shoulders, and the pulse of something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Or maybe danger. Possibly both. The hangar bay of Station Helios 4 was silent, but for the low mechanical breath of life support systems and the distant hum of grav stabilizers. Built in the shell of a dead asteroid, Helios 4 was a diplomatic relic, neutral ground in the cold dark, far from Earth's orbit or anyone else's claim. Its emptiness gave it a haunted feeling, like a cathedral built for gods that no longer answered. Captain Elias Rourke stepped onto the central platform, his boots echoing off the steel floor. He wore the dark formal uniform of Earth Command, sharp but understated, his only weapon a silver insignia pinned to his chest. a single star denoting first contact authority. The message it sent was clear. I am here to talk, not to conquer. A soft tone sounded. Docking complete. He turned as the doors across the chamber hissed open, steam curling from the threshold like breath in winter air. She stepped through the mist like a shadow made real. Commander Thal'ea of the Varelli Dominion. She was tall, graceful, dressed in a flowing obsidian suit that shimmered faintly with bioluminescent threads. Her skin was smooth and pale lavender, like the first light of dawn, and her silver eyes scanned the room as though measuring its worth, or dismissing it. Or him. Rourke offered a diplomatic nod. Commander Thal'ea, I'm Captain Elias Rourke of Earth Command. Thank you for agreeing to meet. She tilted her head slightly, as if acknowledging a lesser creature that had at least learned to stand upright. You are smaller than I expected. He smirked. I get that a lot. Doesn't stop me from saving planets. She made no attempt at humor. Instead, her gaze settled on him like a scalpel. Tell me, Captain, how many planets has your species damaged beyond repair? How many waters poisoned, skies blackened, lives extinguished in the name of progress? He inhaled through his nose, steady. Too many, he said honestly. But that's only part of the story. She moved slowly around the platform, her presence deliberate, commanding. You're parasites, a young species with a loud voice and little wisdom. The galaxy watched you rise from the dirt, hoped for growth. What it saw was consumption, greed, violence. You defile your own home, and now you reach for others. Rourke followed her with his eyes. And you came here to wipe us out before we can infect the stars. No, she said, stopping inches from him. I came to understand before judgment is passed. But make no mistake, Captain, judgment will be passed. He held her gaze. Then let me show you the whole picture. You've seen our wars, our failures. Let me show you our beauty, our capacity to create, to hope, to change. Thal'ea was silent for a long moment. Finally, she turned away, her voice cool. You have one solar cycle. Convince me Earth is not a blight. After that, my fleet moves forward. One cycle, he repeated. Understood. As she left the platform, the temperature seemed to rise by a fraction, the tension loosening just enough to breathe. He glanced back toward the window that framed the stars like a shattered jewel box. One day to save the world. No pressure. The door sealed behind him with a final, echoing hiss. Captain Elias Rourke stood in a chamber unlike any he'd known. Sleek and organic, walls that pulsed faintly with bioluminescent veins, as though the ship itself were alive. The air was cool and carried a scent like crushed mint and ozone. There were no guards, no restraints. But he was a prisoner all the same. Voluntarily, he reminded himself. Thal'ea had not invited him aboard the Varellan's vow. She had demanded it. Diplomacy, she'd said at the end of their first meeting, must be rooted in presence. You will come to know our truth. On our ground. And so he had surrendered command of the Solstice to his first officer, stepped aboard the Varelli warship alone, and now stood within the heart of the unknown. The door opened again. Thal'ea entered silently, flanked by two Varelli attendants with translucent robes and elongated craniums. They glided more than walked, their limbs delicate yet eerily precise. I assume your crew expects to hear from you? She asked. Rourke tilted his head. Eventually. They trust me. That is a quaint trait among your kind. Rare. She gestured for him to sit on a strange crescent-shaped bench, its material shifting to accommodate his shape. He tried not to flinch. The Varelli ship seemed to learn him as it touched him. Thal'ea stood across from him. You believe your words can save your species. But tell me, Captain, do you actually believe Earth deserves to survive? Or is this simply loyalty to your own? He leaned forward, elbows on knees, locking eyes with her. I believe we're a mess. A loud, stumbling, selfish mess. But I also believe in the mother who sold everything to get her daughter into space school. In the protesters who chain themselves to trees. In the surgeon who operates on his enemy in a war zone. We've made mistakes. But we learn. Thal'ea's eyes narrowed. Learning does not undo damage. Your oceans drown in your own waste. You turn the sky into a furnace. You feed on each other for sport. Rourke's voice hardened. You judge us from orbit. From data. From statistics. But data doesn't capture grace. It doesn't measure sacrifice or love or potential. You want to wipe out 7 billion souls because you can't see past the scars. Silence pulsed between them. One of the attendants stepped forward, offering Rourke a small, crystalline orb. A thought offering, Thal'ea said. We share memories in moments of negotiation. You will see mine, and I will see yours. His brow furrowed. You want in my head? We seek truth, and truth lives where words cannot reach. He took the orb. It was warm. And then, a flood. Memories not his own. Varelli worlds burning under human mining drills. Species displaced. Refugees begging under alien moons. A child, her child, crying as a human fleet passed overhead. Pain, betrayal, judgment. And then she gasped, because she was in his head now, watching Earthrise from the lunar base, listening to Beethoven's Ninth during a blackout, standing in a snowstorm at age 10, his dying father's hand gripping his shoulder. The flood receded. The room fell silent again. Thal'ea's voice was softer now. You carry more sorrow than I expected. He didn't look away. And more hope than you allow yourself to believe. She studied him for a long moment, then rose. We continue this tomorrow. You may walk the inner gardens. You will not be confined. But you will be watched. Rourke stood slowly. That's fair. I'll try not to steal anything. One of the attendants blinked slowly. Humor curious. As Thal'ea left the chamber, Rourke allowed himself a single, measured breath. The first crack had appeared in her armor. It wasn't victory, but it was a beginning. Captain Rourke walked slowly through the Varelli ship's garden, a surreal space suspended within the heart of a war machine. Unlike Earth's gardens, it had no soil, no sun. The floor was a shimmering mist, the plants tall, translucent things that swayed as if listening. Light bloomed from them, soft blues and silvers casting ripples on the ceiling far above. Each breath felt heavier here. Not unpleasant, but denser, like breathing thoughts instead of air. He touched a vine that glowed at his fingertips. She told you not to pluck anything, came a voice behind him. He turned, unsurprised. Thal'ea stood at the garden's edge, dressed differently this time. No armor, no command regalia. Just a flowing, fluid robe that glistened like starlight on dark water. She looked younger, somehow. Less distant. I wasn't going to eat it, Rourke said. Though I'm not ruling it out if lunch isn't included in this peace effort. She didn't smile, but something flickered in her expression. You walk this place like it's sacred, she said. He gestured at the glowing canopy overhead. Isn't it? A pause. Then she nodded. It is the memory of a forest from our homeworld, grown from memory and code. The original burn during our planetary wars. Rourke lowered his voice. You lost your home? No, she said softly. We killed it. He let that sit between them. The weight of shared guilt. You think we're behind you on the same path, he said. That we'll destroy ourselves the same way. Or worse, spread it outward. She nodded. It is not justice to let others repeat a horror when we can prevent it. He turned slowly. You ever listen to music? Thal'ea blinked, caught off guard. Music. Not data. Not harmonic frequency. Just music. From his jacket pocket, he pulled a small device, compact, old school. He tapped it. A melody emerged, warm and rough. Ella Fitzgerald, her voice smoky and rich, filling the air like incense. Thal'ea went still. What is this? She whispered. Pain, he said. Love. Joy. A woman who survived war and heartbreak and still sang like she could make the stars cry. That's Earth too. The song played on. Thal'ea sat slowly on a curved bench shaped like coiled vines. Rourke sat beside her, careful not to interrupt the moment. He let the music speak. When the final note faded, Thal'ea exhaled. Your species creates sound for no purpose but beauty? He smiled. Purpose is beauty sometimes. She tilted her head. And you believe these things outweigh your blood-soaked history? I believe they prove we're more than it. Another silence passed, but it was no longer heavy. Curious now. Tenuous. Thal'ea stood. Tomorrow, I will show you a memory of my own. One you won't find in data cores. I look forward to it, he said. She paused at the edge of the garden, turning slightly. And Captain? Yes. You will not need to steal food. We grow many forms of sustenance. One of them might even resemble pasta. He grinned. Now that's diplomacy. She left, and the vines around him brightened, just slightly like they'd heard everything. In that strange, luminous garden, Rourke allowed himself a moment of quiet triumph. For the first time, she had listened. The chamber was dark when Rourke entered, more like a cave than a room, lit only by drifting motes of violet light that hovered in the air like slow fireflies. The walls pulsed faintly, alive with the rhythm of some unseen heart. It wasn't decoration. This was ritual space. Sacred. Thal'ea stood in the center, a long silk-like ribbon wrapped around her forearms, coiling down to the floor. Her silver eyes gleamed in the shadows. "You came," she said. "I always show up for the weird stuff," Rourke replied, though his voice held less humor than usual. She turned slowly, the ribbon sliding with her, as if tethered to her past. "This ceremony is called Kevalda. It is performed before two parties are bound in alliance. Or in battle. Same thing most of the time." She offered no smile. "It is a ritual of vulnerability. We speak what cannot be spoken in war rooms or diplomatic scrolls. You do not have to participate." He stepped forward without hesitation. "I'm here. I'm in." A faint ripple moved through the room, like the ship itself acknowledged his choice. Thal'ea raised her arms, and the ribbon floated between them, suspended by invisible energy. "We each place one memory into the strand, something we do not show others, something we carry alone." Rourke hesitated, only for a breath, then pressed his fingers to the ribbon. Images surfaced instantly. A boy standing beside a wrecked lander. His mother inside, lifeless. His own voice, crying out through static, calling for help across an abandoned Mars outpost. He swallowed. Thal'ea's expression flickered. "That was your first mission." "No," he said. "That was my first failure. I was 10. She died because I trusted the system to respond in time. It didn't." A long pause. Then Thal'ea touched the ribbon. Her memory surged into view, not just seen but felt. A Varelli planet. Clean, perfect, symmetrical. A tribunal, cold and sharp. A child, her sibling, accused of questioning the Dominion's logic. Thal'ea, silent in the chamber, powerless. The punishment was exile. The child vanished. No return. No name spoken again. Thal'ea pulled back, the ribbon dimming. "We are not built to doubt," she said quietly. "When I hesitated that day, I lost my family's trust. I earned my rank, but lost something else." "Doubt isn't weakness," Rourke said. "It's the start of wisdom." She looked at him then, truly looked. "You speak as if we are not enemies." "Because I don't want to be." Thal'ea stepped closer. "Then prove it." She reached out suddenly, and he tensed, until her fingers brushed his chest, over his heartbeat. Not aggressive. Not possessive. Just searching. "You are warm," she said, like it surprised her. Humans usually are. Her hand lingered, then dropped. Suddenly, a harsh chime blared through the chamber. Thal'ea's head snapped toward the sound. Intership breach. Security override detected. Trouble? She was already moving. Mutiny. The doors burst open with a hiss. A Varelli warrior in crimson armor strode in, weapon drawn. His gaze locked on Thal'ea. "You delay the inevitable for sentiment," he spat in their tongue. "The earth creature clouds your vision." Rourke didn't wait. He moved, fast, low, grabbing the edge of the ribbon strand and whipping it around the attacker's legs. The Varelli stumbled, but not before his weapon fired. The shot grazed Thal'ea's side. She staggered. Rourke caught her. Guards swarmed in moments later, dragging the rogue warrior away. The damage was done, but not fatal. Thal'ea pressed a hand to her wound, wincing. "He was one of my commanders. Loyal until now." "You hesitated," Rourke said quietly. "You cracked the Dominion's armor. They saw it." She nodded once, eyes stormy with pain and pride. "I must make a choice soon," she said. "And it will change everything." He helped her up. "Then make the right one." And for the first time, she didn't walk away from him. She walked beside him. The Varellans' vow limped in silence. Repairs were underway, though no one said it aloud. The ship's wounds were superficial, but the deeper damage ran through the command structure. Trust, authority, and control. Mutiny among the Varelli was rare. Unthinkable. But it had happened. Because of her. Because of him. Thal'ea sat in the starlit observatory chamber, the edges of her robe darkened with drying blood, her wound wrapped in a shimmering band of organic mesh. She stared out at the stars, posture rigid. She hadn't spoken since the attack. Captain Rourke stood a few paces away, not intruding, but not leaving either. "They think I'm weak," she said finally, her voice distant. "That I've allowed myself to be compromised." "You're not weak," Rourke replied. "You're conflicted. That's not a flaw, it's awareness." She turned to him slowly. "The Varelli were born from conflict. We swore never to let disorder rule again. We forged a civilization of clarity. Precision. No hesitation. No waste." He took a step closer. "But you're hesitating now." "Why?" She didn't answer. So he pressed. "Because a part of you believes I'm right? That we're not beyond saving." Thal'ea stood slowly, facing him full on now. Her silver eyes searched his face, not for lies, but for courage. "I see possibility," she admitted. "But I also see patterns. Humanity's cycle of growth and decay. You reach for stars, then poison your path to get there. Empathy dies in profit. Peace crumbles under fear." Rourke crossed his arms. "You know what else we cycle through? Redemption. Rebellion. Renewal. You saw it in my memories. Hell, you've lived it in your own. You think your people are immune to corruption? One of them just tried to assassinate you." Her eyes flared. "Because I allowed you in." He stepped forward, sharp now. "No. Because you let yourself feel. You questioned. You saw something in us you weren't supposed to. That's not corruption, Thal'ea. That's evolution." Silence again, crackling, tense. Then she asked, "Why do you keep fighting for us? What if I said my decision is made and Earth will burn?" He looked at her for a long time, and said quietly, "Then I'll stay with you until the last second, trying to change your mind. Because I believe in who you could be. Just like I believe in who we could be." Her gaze dropped for a moment, lashes brushing her cheekbones like shadows. Something deep in her cracked, not visibly, but Rourke felt it. Suddenly, the lights dimmed, flickering red. An alarm blared. "Security breach on the lower engine struts," came a voice through the intercom. "Unauthorized human presence." Rourke stiffened. "Wait, human." He slapped his communicator. "Solstice, come in. Who the hell did you send over?" No answer. Thal'ea's expression sharpened. "There shouldn't be any Earth personnel aboard. Not unless." "Someone didn't trust diplomacy," Rourke growled. "Damn it." He moved toward the corridor, but Thal'ea stopped him with a raised hand. "No. You stay here. You'll only escalate the tension. Thal'ea, if this turns into a firefight, it could be war." "I know," she said. "Which is why I must handle it." She turned and strode from the room, her robe trailing behind her like a comet's tail. Rourke stood in the stillness of her absence, heart hammering in his chest. If someone from Earth had sabotaged this fragile peace, then everything might already be lost. Rain slid down the glass like liquid silver. The small shuttle hovered silently above a stretch of northern forest, hidden from Earth's satellites and air traffic. Cloaked. Untraceable. A courtesy granted by Thal'ea herself, under protest from her high command, but enforced by her will alone. They had come to Earth. Together. "I still don't understand," Thal'ea said, her voice quiet but tense as she stood near the window. "Why you brought me here, of all places." Rourke, seated beside a flickering heat coil, glanced over. "Because this is where I go when I need to remember who we are." Below them stretched dense evergreens, a village nestled among them. Faint lights glowed in the windows. Smoke drifted lazily from chimneys. No cities. No machines. Just people living, surviving, healing. "After the Mars collapse," he continued, "my team scattered. My career nearly ended. I came here and stayed with a woman who ran a small clinic. No military tech. No med drones. Just her hands and whatever she could grow from the earth." Thal'ea watched in silence as a child below stepped into the mud, laughing. A sibling chased after him. A parent followed, tired but smiling. "They don't know you're watching them," she murmured. "They don't need to," Rourke said. "This is who they are when no one's looking." Thal'ea's expression was unreadable, but her eyes lingered, softer now. Less calculating. She turned from the window. "Your shuttle crew sabotaged my ship." "I know. And I've already transmitted a formal apology and surrender request to my command," Rourke said. "I've burned my bridge, Thal'ea. I chose you. Chose this." She stepped toward him, slow. "Do you understand what that means?" He nodded. "That I'm not going back unless you do." There was a long pause between them. long enough for the quiet of the forest to fill the room like a hymn. I've lived my life by algorithms and projections, Thal'ea said. And every model tells me that Earth is a risk, a threat, a variable that tips galactic stability toward entropy. But you also saw a child laugh today, Rourke said. And you felt joy in a song. You know what risk looks like. But you also know what hope feels like. She moved closer now, close enough for him to hear the faint tremble in her breath. This world may change, she whispered. Or it may betray everything I believe in. He met her gaze. Then let it surprise you. Give us the chance to become what you hoped we could be. Thal'ea turned away and opened a communication note on her wrist. A small silver ring projected a shimmering image of her fleet, lined in formation beyond the solar rim. This is Commander Thal'ea of the Dominion, she said. Stand down. Immediate cessation of advance. My authority is invoked under Clause 7.12, Preservation Override. Commander, came a voice through static. That clause hasn't been activated in over a century. I activate it now, she said. Earth will be spared. No invasion. No judgment. We will advise, not dictate. Observe, not punish. She ended the transmission. The silence was electric. Then she turned back to Rourke. This is not peace. Not yet, she said. It is a watchful pause. I'll take it, he said, stepping beside her. That's where all good stories start. She studied him again, and for the first time her expression cracked. A small, reluctant smile. Not a commander's smirk. A woman's smile. And when she placed her hand in his, it wasn't for diplomacy. It was trust. Hard-won. Fragile. Real. Above the earth, a fleet held its breath. Below, the rain kept falling, soft and steady like the beginning of something new. The council chamber aboard the Varellan's vow had never held a human before. Now it held two. Captain Elias Rourke stood beside Thal'ea at the center of a spiraling, amphitheater-like chamber carved from obsidian alloy, its walls veined with faintly glowing script, the Varelli Codex of law, philosophy, and memory. Seated in the tiered rings above were the high conclave. 7 figures robed in varying shades of black, their faces hidden behind ceremonial masks, each etched with different expressions: wisdom, war, harmony, judgment, silence, memory, and dissent. Dissent was the loudest today. You've overstepped, the voice hissed from the masked delegate of dissent. Clause 7.12 allows for delay, not abandonment. Your emotions have compromised Dominion clarity. Another followed, this one from judgment. This human persuaded you to gamble with the fate of entire star systems. Earth's trajectory still trends toward extinction and contagion. Rourke stepped forward. Then help us reverse it. You've been watching from the outside for years. Come closer. Partner with us. Teach us what you know. The masked heads didn't move. But Thal'ea's voice rang clear across the chamber. He does not speak from desperation. He speaks from vision. Earth's potential lies not in what it is, but what it chooses to become, and now it has chosen to become more. She turned toward Rourke. And so have I. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Harmony raised a hand. You propose a monitored alliance. Yes, Thal'ea said. Not domination. Not invasion. We become stewards. Guides. Quiet ones. And the price? Asked Silence, in a voice dry as dust. Thal'ea looked at Rourke. No price. Only trust, which will be tested every cycle. But trust is the only force that ever changed a galaxy. A long pause. Then, slowly, the delegates of memory and harmony lowered their hoods in agreement. The others followed one by one. Even Dissent, though his mask cracked slightly at the corner. Approval. Earth would not burn. But the warning stood. As the council adjourned, Thal'ea and Rourke stepped into the corridor, the gravity of the moment still settling around them like stardust. So, Rourke said with a half-grin, do I get a medal or just a lecture? You get a diplomatic liaison badge, she said dryly, and shared responsibility for whatever happens next. He chuckled. Sounds about right. She stopped, turning to face him fully. You changed me, Elias. He searched her eyes. You let yourself change. That's the difference. A pause passed. Then she asked, what now? He looked out the viewport, where Earth spun quietly beneath the stars, still fragile, still flawed, still alive. Now, he said, We give them a reason to believe the galaxy didn't give up on them. And maybe, just maybe, we learn how not to give up on ourselves." She nodded. And then, for the first time since this began, they walked forward, not as adversaries, but as the first two members of something new, something fragile, and worth everything.